Welcome to the Educators podcast. Today, I will speak with Dhriti from Manav Rachna International School, and she have a very good advice for children. Identify what makes you happy, and then do your best. Do your best to be best at it. Enjoy the podcast. Hi. Working with lots of schools all around the world as the student publish their books on books gives me a very special privilege. I get to meet a lot of very special educators that really takes their schools to the next level. And in the case of books, it's easy. We just see suddenly a school when lots and lots of kids are publishing books, selling their books, making it part of the school legacy. And every time I see it, I want to talk with the principals and the major educator. So this is actually not a discussion about books. I'm like, we don't want to talk about writing books. I really want to hear more about you. How did you become an educator? Why did you become an educator? And advices that you give. So the first question is like, how did you become an educator?
Well, the journey goes back to almost 34, 35 years. When after completing my graduation, I started in a convent school in Jaipur, St. Angela Sophia, right? And since I had not planned to start with my post-graduation at that time, so our Mother Superior and our headmistress sister, Theodora, I remember, she just called me over that, come over and join here and give back to the school what you got. All right. So again, being young and having just been a student, maybe a couple of years, 3 years back, I had a lot of things in my mind. I just thought, let me give it a try. So I worked there for 2 years and I was very happy. Um, I could connect to the students because again, I was young and also at that time very fresh from coming out from the college and my school. So then, of course, getting married and bringing up a family and everything, just took a back seat. So when my children grew up and they started going to school, is when I thought, let me start with my journey again. So I I stay in Delhi, Vasant Kunj. So we had a school coming up, Ryan's Vasant Kunj coming up. And I just went there and I applied. I was professionally not qualified to be a teacher, those degrees that are
Yeah,
required.
yeah,
But yes, I got through a very, very, very rigorous interview, if I may call it, almost which lasted for almost 2.5 to 3 hours, and I that is where when my journey started, and the best part of my journey was that I started teaching a kindergarten class, and I have taught every class, grade 1 to grade 12. And
wow.
that is where my journey started, where I started with the junior most class, and slowly I kept moving up. And then, of course, in the course of time, I had to go for the professional degrees also. So I did my post graduation, I did my B.Ed, the required, degree that is required for teaching. And again, I grew up in statures from a primary supervisor to a middle school to a senior school to a headmistress to a vice principal and then a principal.
Mhm.
So
So
it's
you
been a beautiful journey.
you said that the best advice that you got, you just mentioned it, give to the school whatever you got. That's like that's the
Yes,
first advice that you got.
yes,
I want.
yes.
Uh, uh, I wonder if you use similar advice with the new teachers that are coming to your school now, or the.
Absolutely, absolutely. So whenever I have, new joinees coming in, and young and fresh girls, right, out after their degrees and their graduation, is again what I tell them. Because at your age, you would probably relate to the present generation more than anybody else. Though, honestly, I think even after having been in the industry for the last 35, 36 years, I still don't see that, if you call a generation gap between me and my students. At times, I happen to, I tell my teachers, Monica, I happen to be more progressive than you people because I love to think out of box. So that also is a good connection with the teachers, guiding them to think beyond their classroom and their books. That is very important.
Mhm.
And of course, trying to work on the inherent qualities that children have. See, each child is creative. Each child has something very, very different that the other wouldn't have. And that is where we as a school, and I personally, myself, my philosophy has been to bring that out. That has been,
So,
and that is also one of the reasons, even though we were not discussing about Bree books or whatever, I would have, don't know how many authors in my school. My God, they're getting their books printed left and right. You will not believe we have our own publications also, where we've already published maybe three publications, and they are being used as a supplementary reader in our school.
wow. Wow, that's that's amazing. That's it's the nice thing about Rebooks is that I hear kind of there's so many authors, right? I can't follow all of them, but sometimes I hear like people talking about some people, like what they did with that, and some of those kids became like huge celebrities with their books, and
Yeah.
it's really remarkable, and some are starting like social movements with that. And
Yes.
I'm sure you have it. And so, it's interesting, like being a principal of a prestige school. I'm sure on one hand you have like, you see a child and you see like all the potential creativity and the uniqueness of the child. And then we have the parents. And the parents, a lot of parents are very transactional. They say, we want our kids to go to a specific university and all that. How do you handle the balance as an educator between the wish of the parents, which is something sometimes very transactional, beyond happiness of their children, to the potential, like we see with the book, to the potential that you see in a child that will not naturally go the traditional path?
See, again, by and large, when I'm meeting the parents when they're getting their children admitted, is what I tell them is that if you're looking only at academics, sorry, my school is not for your child. That is one thing I make very, very clear to them. They might come and ask me how many children have gone to IIT and how many there here and how many there. So I tell them, Manika, if I start believing in that and doing that, my whole school will be full of honor boards. But we don't believe in that. We believe in giving them that kind of environment where, see, academics will happen. But what else can we give to the children? As I mentioned earlier also, every child has that creative side. Every child, market. Even we, you and me too, isn't it?
Mhm.
And when we do something that we love to do, we are happy. When we are happy, that filters down to anything and everything you do. And if you're happy doing something, you'll do it well. That is the philosophy that we work on. And yes, there still is that percentage of parents who insist, no, for certain reason, I want my child to take up maybe a physics and a chemistry and a math. We try explaining to them that because the child confides in us that I don't want. So there are times when a few children turn, they're really miserable because they're doing something that they don't love doing and they're not happy doing. So by and large, yes, the thought process has changed. And we have been able to try, we've been able to convince a lot of parents also for that. So the percentage is very less now, where The children have to do what their parents want. It usually happens, the unfulfilled aspirations of a parent passes down to the child, right?
Yes.
Right? And that is the time where most of these children end up being miserable, because they certainly do not want to do what their parents are wanting to do. But again, I said that percentage has come down to a great extent. So now, of course, the parents say, leave it to their children that, okay, pick up whatever you wish to. And then again, the school gives them that opportunity where when they move to 11th and 12th, we give them a lot of choices. So I have children taking up physics and a fine art too. Why not?
It's interesting. My oldest daughter, she's an actor. She's an artist, performing artist, and she's amazing in math and computer science.
Yes.
And
yes.
And what I'm always telling parents, I'm telling them that for the future, one of the most essential skills to combine different worlds. So somebody that can be, and by the way, if you look at the journey, like, I have one computer that teaches coding and one computer that teaches book writing, and I believe that you cannot do with one of them, because you
combine that.
You need to merge.
Yes.
So let's talk about you're so experienced. Your school is so prestigious. A child comes to the school. What advices do you give them when they're starting the journey? And in a second, I will ask you So I'm trying to say, what is the advices that you give them as they enter the school, and what are the advices that you give them as they're about to leave the school?
See, what happens is the entry point to the school when they're too young, they're just 3 years old, right? So our, I would not call it a job, but our efforts lie in the area where we give them an exposure to anything and everything that the school can offer, be it a fine art, be a performing art, be it sports, be it academics. So by the time they reach grade 5 and 6 is where they are identified for their strengths, right? A parent is also able to say, yes, my child is now eventually doing in this particular sport or in this fine art activity or this area of academics. And we as a school also do that. And that is where we start guiding the child, right? Now, as far as your language skills, for example, that can be identified even earlier, right? So that is where we start, kind of guiding the children. Okay, let's have some self-composed poems, for example. Maybe a certain sport where a child at a junior level shows a lot of aptitude for a particular sport is where we start pushing the children. So as the children grow and as they come up to the higher class, now in the present times, your report card is not the be all and end all, right? What else have you done? What is it that you have experienced in your learning journey? What have been your achievements have become more important? So 8th onwards is where we start counseling the children to start building up on their profiles. And again, since the school gives them many platforms to participate, they do participate, because I tell them every certificate earned is a credit for you when you go for higher education. So, and every year when we have our alumni meet, when the children turn up, it gives me so much of pleasure that all of them are doing extremely well in whatever field they have chosen. I have been fortunate enough here also. I've been here almost 15 years since the school started. So I know the children well. They bond with me very well. Most of my teachers, I have old teachers here who've been here 10 years and 12 years. So I also feel that is very essential for us to connect to the children. And that connection is what we believe in. That bonding is what we believe in. Because there you're talking to a child, you're talking to a student, not as a principal, but maybe as someone who has experienced life, and I wish to pass down my experience to you. So that is the kind of relationship we believe here. And with God's grace, it's worked out beautifully for us. Beautifully for us.
One of my employees in the past told me that every year him and their classmates are going to their teacher, home class teacher, she's in her 80s now, to celebrate her birthday. So they travel from all over to celebrate the birthday of the teacher.
That is exactly. So when, and especially when we had the alumni meet, I make sure all my old teachers are here in school, right from the kindergarten to grade 12. Because these children recognize them, they bond well with them. And again, it's a different story. For a teacher also, it gives you so much of pleasure to see your children doing well in life. And again, any institute that they have gone to, any college, any university, they've been, kind of very active in the creative field. I can boast of my creative department, my PA and the VA department, where so much of encouragement is given to the children, and we ensure that whatever their talents are. I don't know how many bands I have in school. Right from my little puppets to the eldest. We have produced the best of drummers in the city. We've produced the best of guitarists in the city. We have produced the best of pianists in the city. So and we've also given the school topper, the Gurgaon school topper. So children are very, very, and again, maybe in our times, the kind of exposure that the children have now was not there. But still, we are what we are because of what we learned then or what we did then. And we might not have technology at our fingertips. We never probably even had phones until we grew up quite old, right? There was no computer, nothing at all. But I still feel maybe it was. It also depends from a person to person. Where I was always very, very eager to learn a lot of things, new things too. So we move with times. If the present times demand a lot of changes, we go ahead and do it. We bring it to the children.
The reason for starting Rebooks, one of them was that I saw that children are the best storytellers in the world.
Absolutely.
Tell me more about it.
See, we're talking about at a certain age, you will not believe walking into a kindergarten class, right? You just have to go and sit there on a chair, and you have 10 children around you, and how they weave a story. One starts with something and the other follows up. Oh, this happened with me also. Oh, no, then we went there and we did this. Somehow, it's amazing. It's amazing. And that is what is, I think, the best way to extract a lot of, I would say, reading material, if I may say so. I sometimes tell my teachers, go and keep recording to what they say, okay? This might come in very handy sometimes, where you can get back to the parents, and we keep getting back to the parents also. That okay, this is what your child is really good at. Come on, take it further, move it further. So definitely, you give them something to weave, and the tapestry will be full.
Perfect. So, one final advice for a student. Like, your student is just graduating. They are just about to leave the school. They're just about to say goodbye. What is the advice for life that you would give them?
the same. Do what your heart says. I believe in that. And again, when you do something that you really love doing, you'll do well in life. Come what may. Of course, see, uh, these are the years, the 4 years, the last 4 years of the school, the next 3 years of graduation, maybe another 2 years. Or let's take only the 2 years, last 2 years of the school, 3 years or 4 years of your graduation, and then maybe another 2 years, 3 years of your specialization. Do them well, and you've done your work.
So follow your heart and do it well.
Do it well.
Do it well. Thank you. Amazing. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for
Same
everything
here.
you're doing for children. I think it's more than anything, and it's really a privilege for me to engage with you and with your children via pre-books. And I can't wait to meet them as they write their books in the future. I'm sure I will have many opportunities. So thank you very much.
Next year we'll be taking out another. We have a club. We called it Young Feltmen Pen Club. Where we encourage children to write. And my Chavi, my librarian, is doing a lot in this regard. So we have a lot of children who have been identified to be good writers, good speakers. So we keep encouraging them, we keep guiding them. So I think it's been a good going, a fantastic, rather, a very, very good going with the kids.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.